Hey you guys, are we in focus? Hello. I just got home. It's so hot. I have to take this off. I'm gonna die. It's officially summer. Today was a really great day. It was one of those days where it just felt like you could just pass hours like walking around, and in the morning I went to my studio because this month I sold 2 original paintings, which is really exciting, and so I had to go to my studio and wrap them up and like go to the post office and just like figure out shipping and everything like that. Then in the afternoon, me and my friend Aude, we walked around the 13e, the 13th arrondissement, and she lives over there, so she knows it really well, and we were just like, I don't know, like taking pictures, and we went and we sat on a terrace, and it's really nice because it's something like we haven't been able to do in a really long time. It's just kind of recently that they've opened up the terrace again, so we sat down, we got like a glass of wine at like 12 p.m, like 12 in the afternoon. Only in Paris can you do something like that. And we had lunch, and then she like showed me around her quartier. There's like a lot of really cute winding streets. It reminded me a lot of the 20th where I used to live, and I would take you guys all the time with like all the little kittens and stuff. And yeah, I just felt, at the end of the day, I just felt like super grateful. And I came home and I was like, I can't believe that this is my life, you know? And like, I wanted to film a video. I wasn't planning on filming like another sit down video this week. I was gonna do like a vlog, but I wanted to just like film and chat with you guys because it made me think about kind of how I followed my dreams late in life, and how had I not sort of gone off the beaten path and like did my own thing and trusted that things were gonna work out, then I wouldn't have the life that I have now. And I'm just so happy like to wake up every day and to be able to go to my art studio and just to live in France in general. So I kind of wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about like my experience with sort of being a late bloomer in a way, and yeah, like finding my passion and what I wanted to do late in life, because it's definitely, I feel like, one of the questions that I get asked the most, like especially on Patreon. We recently had like a Q&A, and one of the questions was like, what do you do if you feel lost, or if you don't know what you want to do like right out of school? And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, the fact that we're expected to know what we want to do just right out of school. I kind of have like a theory on this, and I think that the reason why we're pressured so early on to just like pick something and go with it and like go to school and take out like the student loans, which is so crazy that it's even normalized, by the way, to like take out like 30,000 euros worth of student loans right when you're out of high school. Like, you don't know shit. Like, no offense if you guys are in high school, but I mean, at least for me, coming out of high school, I'm like, I had no idea. Like, there were things that I thought that I wanted to do. There's things that sounded like that might be fun, but the fact that like we're expected to just like pick something and go with it, I think the reason why it's like that in the US is because they know that like for the average person to go to school is going to cost a lot of money, and you're going to have to take out loans, and then you're going to be trapped in this system. And that's kind of what they need. I don't know who they is, like it's like the government or whatever. It's what they need for like the society to function. Like, they need people to be like trapped paying these student loans and doing jobs that they're not sure they really want to do for the rest of their life, because otherwise people are going to be like me and move to Europe. It's kind of crazy sitting here and saying that like after 7 years of school, I have no student loans. Like, I didn't pay anything for school, and that's not because I did my schooling in France. Like, before, to give you guys like a little bit of background, I know a lot of you guys know me. You guys know me, my palace family. But for those of you guys that don't know, I did my associate's degree in the US, and then when I moved to France, none of that counted, so I just like started back from zero anyway. But when I first got out of college, when I first got out of high school, I was like a lot of kids in my senior year, like getting ready for college, like looking at these schools. It's like you're shopping at a candy store, and like they make each school like super, like all the fancy schools like look like the most fun schools. Like, yeah, let's go out of state and pay like, I don't know, 100,000 euro tuition. I remember at one point I was looking at Savannah College Art and Design. Such bullshit. I can't believe I thought about even going to that school. It's like it's like $100,000. Or like, you know, in Florida there's like Full Sail, like these type of schools, which if you can afford to go to them, I'm sure they're great. But yeah, anyway, I remember I had gotten good grades in school, and if you get good grades in school in Florida, they pay for like 75% of your tuition, or 100%. They were going to pay for 75% of my tuition at like a 4-year university, or if I went to community college first, they would pay for 100%. And me, I decided that I wanted to go to a private school because this school was in like a cute little town. It was in St. Augustine. I had gotten accepted to a school called Flagler. I don't know if any of you guys know it, probably not. I got accepted to this 4-year college, Flagler, and I got all this stuff in the mail, like the big package. And because it was a private school, the Florida scholarship thing wasn't really going to cover much of it, and I was going to have to pay like, I don't know what it ended up being, like $40,000 a year. And I know for like people who are like from Europe and stuff, you're listening to that and you're like, that's insane, like literally insane. And it is. It's crazy. Yeah, and I was looking at all this paperwork and stuff and like about to sign like my loan, and then all of a sudden like I just got this feeling in my stomach of like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like, does this mean like after school I'm gonna have to pay all this back? Like, obviously, you know? And so I was like about to sign it, and then like something inside me like told me not to do it. And like even like, you know, like my family and friends around me were like, just, you know, everybody takes out loans, it's fine, you know? And they didn't mean like any harm or anything, but at the end of the day, like, I guess this is the first thing I want to say is like your family and friends can mean well, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be the one that's like strapped to your debt, and you're gonna have to be the one that has to pay that back. And you know, you're the one that is gonna have to live your life every day. So I decided not to do that. And because Florida was gonna cover my tuition at a community college, I decided to go to community college and just like do general studies for the first year, like 2 years, which in a way was sort of looked down upon by like my peers and stuff. I don't know why like community college gets such a bad rap. Like, it's honestly like the best decision you can make if you want to go to college and you're not sure what you want to do at first, because you're paying way less for the same classes. Like, I had some really amazing teachers at community college, and like, yeah, you just get to experiment a lot more and try a lot of different classes, which is what I did. I tried theater, I did art, I did creative writing, like basically all the fun electives, you know. And I would just like pass my afternoons like laying in the grass and writing in my journal. Honestly, it was like really good times. And I don't know, I just wanted to tell you guys that part of the story first, because I know a lot of people think that maybe school was free for me because I went to school in France for 5 years. I did my master's degree. I just finished with my master's degree here, and maybe that's why they think it was free. But it could have ended up costing me like a fuck ton of money, because there was at one point when I was going to go to the school, to a private school, and I just ended up making that decision to go to community college. So after those 2 years, I was debt free, and I actually knew somebody that had like traveled abroad while being an au pair. And so I looked into that, and it seemed like a really great way to travel and see the world. You know, like they provide you with your apartment, and basically I thought I'll move to France for a year. I'll study the language. Actually, I didn't even think I was gonna study French. It's crazy now. Like if I were to, but me back then were to see videos of me now like speaking French, I wouldn't understand shit that I was saying in the videos that I'm making now. And what's crazy is like there was a lot of people around me saying like, don't do it. Like if you'd stop going to school now, you're never gonna go back. There's also people that were like, it's crazy, like you're gonna go live abroad by yourself, like what happens if you get like kidnapped over there, like, you know, all these things. And even like I don't remember if it was my mom or my sister that said this to me, but I think it was my sister. She said, I didn't even think that you were actually gonna move to France until you were like at the airport leaving, you know, because I just like looked online for opportunities that were available to see like what I could do, like what I could afford. I didn't have any money. I, you know, was working like a waitressing job so I could save up for the summer. But other than that, I was like, I guess you know, I'm gonna go live with this host family and I hope it works out. And I got really lucky because I ended up having like a really nice host family. And I know that a lot of people end up in like shitty situations and like don't have money to get out of them. So, which brings me to my second point, which is there's nothing wrong with not wanting to go to school or taking a year off to travel or find yourself. Like I said before, like you're the one that has to live your life. And honestly, like going abroad, even if, you know, you're taking time off school and people around you are telling you that it's not going to look good on your resume or whatever, like honestly that's bullshit, because it does look good on your resume. And then, you know, think of all of the things that you're going to learn abroad, like all of the people that you're going to meet, the experiences, and how much autonomy you're going to gain. I guess along with that is don't like use Google, baby. Like Google is your friend. And maybe you don't, like in your situation, have a lot of money. It's so crazy to me how many people like watch my videos and think that I like have a rich family or that I was rich or something like that, because it couldn't be farther from the truth. You just like have to seek out opportunities and see like what you can do. Like maybe you're going to school and you want to study abroad and you're like, well, I can't afford that, like, you know, study abroad program. But maybe you can be, you know, for example, an au pair or a teacher's assistant, you know. And I feel like just if your dream is to go abroad, finding like alternative ways to do that. Like no one is gonna come up to you on the street and be like, hey, do you want to go to Australia? I mean, maybe that could happen, that'd be really cool. But no one's gonna come up to you and be like, hey you, do you want to go to like Fiji for a year? Hey you, do you want to go to Italy and like eat pasta and like meet this Italian guy? No, like you have to seek out those opportunities. And you know, whether that is moving abroad, whether that's like finding a scholarship, whether that is like, I don't know, maybe you want to be like an actor or a singer and you're looking for like connections or things like that. Like be a self-starter and just like try and figure out ways that you can, in your current situation, move towards your dream. And having said that, you know, if you're not from a privileged background, it might take you longer to move towards that goal, and it might, you know, not be like the conventional way. But as long as you still get to the same place at the end, it doesn't matter, you know. And everybody loves like an underdog story, you know what I mean? Like everybody loves. That's why, you know, all of these like singers and industry plants, they don't want to say that they're industry plants, because it sounds cooler to be like, yeah, like I just like sang and I made this thing in my bedroom and it just like popped off on SoundCloud and I'm here, you know. I don't know how I got that topic. I love this time of day when the sun touches everything. It's so nice. It's like that air coming in from the window. Ugh. I went and I got a little snack for us from the kitchen. These are chocolate biscuits. I don't usually do this kind of stuff. I mean, I do eat like a lot of chocolate, but I normally don't get like this kind of stuff for my dessert like at home. But I was like, let's just go crazy. Finish your diploma last week. Hell yeah. These are so good. Anyway, so yeah, as a lot of you guys know, while I was here, I ended up meeting somebody, and it just kind of like life just kind of, you know, is crazy that way, where, you know, you never know what taking a chance or walking in some direction, or, you know, going out one night to like some random bar with your au pair friends who you might meet, you know what I mean? Or it's crazy. Like, anyway, we get it. Life is crazy. So when I decided to stay in Paris, I stayed with the idea, the foolish idea, that my credits from the associate's degree that I already obtained would transfer to whatever school I wanted to do, which is just like not the case at all. So I wasn't sure, you know, I was like, do I actually want to go back to school? Like, what do I want to do? And I was like, do I really, like, if I were to go back to school here, I'd be like the oldest bitch in my class. There's something about being the oldest in your class that makes you feel like in some way in the past, like you failed, or you feel like you're outdated, or, you know, like you feel like you're behind in some way, you know, or like you have to excuse yourself for being there. Or I remember, like, you know, even when I started school, like I would avoid people asking me like how old I was. I just felt like kind of the odd one out, you know, in a way. Especially because at the time I was married. God, I just sound like the craziest person. Like, I was married back then. You know, at the time I was married, and so like being like a new student and being around like 18-year-olds, you know, even though I was only like, you know, 3-4 years older, I felt like I have to go faster than them. Like, I have to have more success than them by the time I finish school, because I'm already like behind. There's this pressure to, you know, like have success young and know what you want to do young, and to do things like in a very linear way. And like in our culture, like especially for women, you know, getting older is like you're dying almost. It's like, well, I mean, we all are dying. We're getting closer to death every day. But it's almost like you make yourself smaller and smaller the older that you get. What is this bullshit? It's telling me that's about to run us. What I was saying before I got really cut off by my SD card. I'm like, how dare you? What if this was like an important event? It just feels like in some way, you know, like the older we get, the more that we should try to stay young. And the older that we get, the more we become smaller and smaller. Like, I have so many people around me that I know that are like older, and like some of them tell me sometimes that they feel like, you know, their time has passed and all that stuff. And it's kind of sad in a way to hear that kind of narrative, and like how much we glorify youth. There was a time many moons ago when getting older was seen, you know, as a privilege, and seen as like, oh, this person is older, like they have so many rings around their tree, you know. Whereas like me, even being like 3-4 years older than the kids in my class when I decided to go back to school, I felt like all this pressure, probably like male gazy pressure too, because you don't want to, you know, finish school and be like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I feel like I kind of skipped something and like got ahead of myself. So basically, after I had moved back to France, I was working as a nanny most of the time, and as it could be fun. Like, don't get me wrong, like nannying is a cool ass job. Like, especially like if you have like a good family and a good setup, it's pretty fun. But was it my dream? No. And I just wasn't being stimulated. It was just like eating all day, going to the park. I mean, it sounds pretty nice actually, now that I say it like that. But yeah, I just felt, I was like, you know what, like I'm in this foreign country, schooling is free, which was a big part of it. I was like, well, it's free to go back to school, so I might as well just go and try to make it into art school because that's what I decided that I wanted to study. Like, I was like, let me just try and get serious about this, you know? Another part of it as well, and I want to say this, like, I don't think that you necessarily have to go to school to follow your dream, but I also thought, you know, as somebody that didn't grow up here, it would be like a really good way to get like socialized in a way, like in a French way, and understand like the culture a lot more. So I decided to go back to school for art because that's what, you know, after a lot of time of reflection and really asking myself and digging deep, like, what do I truly love and what would I do if I, you know, could wake up any day and do something, you know? And I talked about this in my last video, but it's really hard to make a decision like that, I think, especially when your passion is something that isn't easily monetized. And I did mention this as well, but you know, I feel like art is one of the majors that is the most sort of looked down upon because it's not something, like I said, that has like a direct, like, okay, you go to school for this and you get this job after, unless you do something like more technical, like animation or something like that, you know? So it was just like purely coming from a place of, I want to study this because this brings me joy and I feel like I, you know, have something to say and I could really benefit from going to school for this and learning different techniques, and just like, why not, you know? I think a big part of it as well was when I moved abroad, I kind of learned how to just say like fuck it and be like, look, you know, I've gone to school for a bit, I went abroad, I've had all these experiences, and why not just go back to school, you know? Like, I think that year abroad gave me a lot of confidence, and I was like, if it fails, you know, I'll be like a translator, or, you know what I mean? Like, I think at that point I realized that like my career, like what I do to make money, doesn't necessarily have to be like my passion, so I was like, why not just like go to school? And yeah, I thought that it would be pretty easy as well. I'd be like, I'll just like show them my drawings at this art school. But it ended up being really difficult. I got rejected on the first time and I had to make the decision to do a foundation year. And then after that, and I was pissed about that in a way because I was like, oh great, so I have to do a foundation year. And so then I'm gonna be even a year older than most of the kids. Oh my gosh, that foundation year. I learned so much about like technical stuff, art stuff during that year, and just like how like the French school system works. Like, it was really fun. And there was like a very like family type environment, and you got to see like, I remember like the director of the foundation year school, he was very like, he was almost like a star in a way. Like, he would roll up. He kind of reminded me of like Willy Wonka. He had a lot of charisma, and he would really encourage like the artists at the school to like push it to the limit, you know? He'd be like, oh, and I think this is like, he'd be like, oh, you want to make this? But imagine if you did this. I think the best types of teachers are the ones that can inspire you by just like giving you the extra encouragement of being like, you know, that this is possible. You know what I mean? I think like when you're young, all you really need is like somebody to open the door and be like, hey, you could also do this. Or I think it's really detrimental when there's teachers that like shut down people's dreams. And I think that when you're young, like, you know, that is not the time to put limits on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, as we get older, there's so much shit that like falls upon us. You know, we can get sick, or, you know, you could have like a family, or there's all these other obstacles that come to mind, which I think is one of the reasons why it is harder to follow your dreams late in life, because there's just all of these things that make it more difficult. But I think that when you're young, it's not the time to compromise on the things that you want to do. So it's even funny that I want to call this video like following your dreams late in life, because for me, yeah, it was only like 3 or 4 years later, but even that, to society's standards or expectations, whatever, it felt like a lifetime. It felt like I was doing something radical. It felt like I was taking a huge risk. And so I can only imagine for people who, you know, or 40 or 50 and decide they want to do something different. I guess I just wanted to make this video to maybe like open up the dialogue, and I think that we should normalize wanting to change your mind, you know, and not having to live your life in an A, B, C, D, E type way and putting pressure on ourselves to know what we want to do. You know, like I know for me personally, I want to live like many different lives in this lifetime. Like I never want to be like stuck in the same thing, and I never want to feel like, okay, like I found this joy so I can't do this other thing. That is so our ego speaking, you know what I mean? Because we're thinking about how we look to the outside world. But like I said, we're the ones that have to wake up every day and live our lives, which is why, like, you know, a few years ago I started doing ballet. I mean, obviously I wasn't doing it to be like a prima ballerina, so I think that it was a lot more fun for me compared to a lot of people that grow up and do it with the, you know, expectation to become really great at it. But I think like à partir du moment, from the moments that you allow yourself to fail and look stupid and make mistakes in front of people, you're so free. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could care less if I do something and I fall on my face, because at the end of the day, I just want to feel alive. Like I just want to feel like, you know, I'm, yeah, alive. That was good enough. Anyway, I was in my foundation year. So basically you go to a foundation year and, you know, they teach you like all these techniques and they help you with your dossier, which is like your whole portfolio, so that you can stand out and then you can access a public school. So then the next 5 years you don't pay anything, or if you do pay something, it's like 200 euros, which is nothing for the whole year. However, you know, that foundation year was expensive for me because I wasn't having my parents pay for it or anything. So I was working the weekends so I could pay for it, and a lot of the kids in the class, you know, like their parents were paying for it or whatever. So at night when they would all want to go out together, I couldn't go because I couldn't even like afford to like drinks, you know what I mean? Which is like, now like when I go on a terrace and I can afford like getting like a glass of wine, I just feel like this is like I'm so rich, you know, like I can get a glass of wine, like this is so cool, you know? So yeah, like I think that the older that you are when you follow your dreams, like the more sacrifice. So this is like the next part, is sacrifice. Because, you know, when you're younger, people are more willing to open the door for you at first, because they're like, you know, you're young, we want to foster you and like take you under our wing, and there's a lot of aids, government aids, you know, when you're younger. But the older that you get, like I know for example in France, after like I think it's 26 or 27, like you have to pay more for things. Like museums aren't free anymore. You're expected to be like a member of society that can pay for shit, you know what I mean? So deciding to go back to school or deciding that you want to do something means having to sacrifice, because you are expected to pay in full. You are expected to already be established, you know? And I'm sure that other people, like in situations even crazier, like, you know, having a family or having somebody to support, it's even bigger. And so, you know, I think often back to J.K. Rowling, who, you know, she was a single mom and she lived in like this really squalmy flat, and she wrote her book with her baby next to her, you know what I mean? And that is like, honestly, so much respect. Like that is just like chugging through. And I think that you can only really do that when you're really passionate about something, when you love something so much that it's worth it to you to keep going when you're not sure what the end result is going to be. I made this Instagram post the other day talking about just this exact thing, where like, you know, so many times in life we are going after something when we're not sure if it's worth it. Like so many times when I was working at that stupid fucking burger joint, I hated working there. Anyway, it's for another video. I'll talk about my jobs in another video. So often in life it feels like we're moving towards this dream in the dark, you know, like we can see like just what's in front of us, but we can't see, you know, we can imagine what's at the end, but we can't exactly figure out like how it's going to work out to get there. But what I realized the other day, and I shared this on Instagram, so I guess follow me there if you want to get like the tea earlier, but what I said is, honestly, like, in a world where most people don't give a shit, it's so beautiful to care enough about something to try, you know? I feel like most people in life, they just give up because they, you know, they think that they're too old or it's too late. And sure, the older that you get, the more obstacles you're gonna have to achieving your dream. But if something is important to you, you'll figure out a way. You know what I mean? Where there is a will, there is a way. Like, think about how much time we waste on our phones every day. I think about this often, and this is why I'm trying to, from tomorrow on, stop going on my phone as much. No, I'm kidding. I've been trying to stop going on my phone as much because it's just so much wasted time we could be spending, you know, working towards our dream or a goal or whatever. And yeah, like, so many people that I know are just like, they want to live in this ignorance of, oh, it's too late for me, or I can't do this or that, because it would mean having to act on something, and having to act on something and really admit that it matters to you, it opens up the possibility that you might fail, you know? So I guess at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, like, do I love this thing enough to really try? Do I give a shit enough about this thing to really try? And even if it doesn't work out and you fail, it was beautiful that you tried, because that's a lot more than most people can say for themselves, you know? So yeah, at the end of the foundation year, that is when, you know, the public schools open up for you to send applications, and there's many rounds. You go to, the first round is the application, where you send your dossier, all your artwork. Then there's the pre-selection, then you come into an interview, which is like the last step. There's like 100 people at the interview, and there's maybe like, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 applicants every year. So if you made it to the interview, it's like a big deal. So I applied to 3 schools. One was outside of Paris, and I don't even really know why I applied, because I knew I couldn't go there. I got accepted to that school. However, it was in Nice. However, I just knew I couldn't go because I couldn't leave. And then I was in between 2 schools in Paris. One was the Beaux-Arts de Paris, and one is the Beaux-Arts de Cergy. And I remember, you know, I was so excited because I got through the first round of the Beaux-Arts de Paris, and then I got to go to the interview. And I told you guys this in my last video, but during my interview, my computer crashed. And so, like, you know, I'm a video artist. I do sculpture as well, but I'm a video artist, so I couldn't show them, you know, like, my stuff. And so I got rejected from that school, which was devastating to say the least, because it was like, you know, you work so hard and you just have like 10 minutes in front of a jury, you know? And I was like, in that moment, I told myself, oh my god, if I don't get accepted into the Beaux-Arts de Cergy, this whole thing, like, going back to school, it would have been for nothing. This, like, you know, and I was just like, I can't believe this. Like, I worked so hard, and you just like tell yourself all these things. And so I decided that I was gonna make my interview at the Beaux-Arts de Cergy like epic. I decided to get dressed up and do like a performance where I was dressed up as an alligator. And when the jury came in, I like made the floor like lava, and I was like going after their legs. I think they accepted me because I just made them laugh really hard, because when I was supposed to be talking to them, I couldn't get out of my alligator suit. And yeah, so I got accepted to that school. It was like the best, one of the best days of my life. I remember I was out for my friend's birthday, and they don't tell you the day of your interview if you're accepted or not. They like send you a mail, and I found out, and I was so excited. I was like jumping up and down just to tell you, like, you know, just this sort of journey, you know, of like these ups and downs and, you know, disappointments. And but anyway, I remember getting to school, and, you know, I was surrounded by like 18-19-year-olds that were just out of high school and like just starting to like find themselves and stuff. And here I was, like, you know, I'm married, and it was such a gift to me to be surrounded by like these young French kids. And on the other hand, I felt like the fact that I was older was, you know, as we say in French, my plus grande force. It was my biggest strength, you know? So I just wanted to tell that kind of story of how I kind of got to that point of deciding to go back to school, and like all of those mixed emotions, and, you know, feeling like when I first started that it was too late for me, and how ridiculous that is, because it's never too late. Like, you're gonna be the same age you know, in 20 years, whether or not you follow your dream or not. You know, like say for example you want to pick up like the harp and you're like, oh, by the time I'm good at the harp I'll be so old. You're gonna get old anyway, sweetie, so you know, might as well go after your dreams. No, like, you know, now I appreciate so much like getting to wake up and go to my art studio and like spend the day making art, and like being able to like at 12 p.m. go and like drink wine on the terrace. And a lot of that of course is as well due to, you know, having the confidence to share online and, you know, create content in a different way, you know, like try to create an audience around my passions and what I love. And even that, you know, can be a dream. Even that is something that a lot of us are scared to do, you know, scared to put ourselves out there. But there's only benefits that can come to being vulnerable and sharing and trying to connect with people, and just like, you know, we're all humans on this planet, like trying just to get by. And it always annoys me when, actually it doesn't annoy me because I just don't care, like I'm just I don't care, like I feel so free. It always makes me like, I laugh like inside my head a little bit when people are like, I could never do what you do and like share online, or like I could never, you know, because it's in a way it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, like, oh, you're like really just like putting it all out there. Or sometimes it's even like said in a way that's a little bit negative. But I've let go of all ego. Like I'm not above like the experiences that I have. Like the experiences that I have do not define who I am. Just like the jobs that we had early on in life, when you're starting out and you don't know what you want to do and you're just like taking odd jobs to make ends meet, they don't define you. You know what I mean? So much in this culture, like we just like, so what do you do? And like we class people, you know what I mean? Next time someone's asked me what I do, I'm just gonna tell them I'm a drug dealer. So often in this life, we define ourselves by our accomplishments and what we do, but we are a human first. We're a human on this planet, and we don't have to excuse ourselves for existing. We don't have to apologize for existing and taking up space at no matter what age we are. You know what I mean? Like if you're 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever and you want to go back to school, like you don't have to explain yourself. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to sit next to like this young person and be like, well, you know, I just got interested in theater or whatever it is, you know? Like you have the right to exist until the very end, and all of these opportunities to learn are all around you, and you don't have to excuse yourself for existing, you know? And I think this also is super relevant about being somebody that creates online, like a YouTuber or anything, being online. Like there's so much shame towards people, for example, on TikTok who are older and are like, you know, making stuff because it's like for young people. Like fuck you, just because you're young, like you think that you're allowed to like take up more space than other people, you know what I mean? It's funny because the other day I was talking to my YouTuber friend and I was saying, how do you feel about like getting older on YouTube? You know what I mean? Like it's a real thing, and like so many people are like, oh, you're like this age now, like what are you doing on there? But honestly, like there's so many like older content creators that I follow now that are so inspiring to me, and just like, you know, whether that's artists, just like different people showing their daily lives, and like why not, you know? Like we learned that like, you know, the fun stuff is just for the youth, you know what I mean? And so I was talking about this with my YouTuber friend, and he's like, he said, well, I don't want to create content for like young people, like I'm creating content for people my age, which is so true. Like of course, like if there's like younger people who are like, you know, 18, 19 that want to watch my videos, like of course, like I'm super happy you want to watch. But at the same time, like I don't need to like make myself like cutesy and young and just so like to appeal to like a younger audience, or you know what I mean? So like if your dream is you want to share online, or you want to connect with people and you think that you have something that you can offer to the world, a vision, anything, you don't have to young yourself down instead of dumb yourself down, you know? Young yourself down so that you can be accepted by the world. You know what I mean? Like we need to normalize getting older in the sense that it's beautiful to get older. It's beautiful to get older and have experiences and to change as we grow and to decide later in life that we want to try something different, you know? So I guess for you guys out there watching this who, you know, are stuck in life and you're like, God, I need to know right now what I need to do. You don't. You literally don't. Literally. You literally don't need to know. Take your time. Try so much stuff. Like, try everything that you want to. Travel. Make different types of friends. Make mistakes and fail and like fall on your face and look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and be like, I love you and we're having fun, aren't we? And that's all that matters, you know? And if you have found what you want to do and there's people around you that are judging you, they're not the ones that are going to have to live your life. You know, they're not the ones that are gonna have to wake up. And also, if you're feeling pressured into a situation to go to school for something that you don't want, you know, if you're feeling pressured, if you're right out of high school to do student loans or whatever like that, like, you're the one that's gonna be having to pay those back, you know? Like, there's so many people. This is why midlife crises exist. Because early on, we're pressured into things that we don't want to do by whoever, I don't know, you know, parents, whatever. And that's when people, like, you know, go out and go ape shit and like buy Harleys, and that's the moment when people like jet off to Italy and just like leave their kids and their family and they're like, sayonara baby, I'm like starting over. But like, you don't have to wait until you're 50 to have like a crisis. Like, you can be 25 and be like, actually, I don't really want to do this anymore. This isn't working for me. Like, you can start over at any age, and that's so acceptable. Like, you don't have to explain yourself or apologize. And like I said, as always, you know, I know that everyone doesn't have the same situation, and maybe you did fall into like some debt or whatever it is, you know, but like, just take baby steps to work towards what you really want. And, you know, I just want you to know that it's never too late. Think of Michael Jordan, who didn't make his basketball team. Think about, you know, Steve Carell, who didn't start acting until he was in his 40s, you know? Just keep proving to yourself that you're gonna show up every day for your dream, you know? And yeah, like I said, I really love the life that I built for myself, and I know it's just because I was able to let go of my ego and not care about what the people around me are gonna think, or if I get made fun of or judged or whatever. But that also doesn't mean that I might not change my mind later down the line, and I want to leave that option open for myself to just like wake up every day and let go of all of these things that I think are my identity. You know what I mean? Like, obviously it feels really cool to identify as like an artist or a YouTuber or anything, but I think that identifying something and like letting something define us too much will take away from, you know, just like our existence as a human to be enough. Like, I want to be enough every day, no matter what I choose to do, you know? So, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's been like on my mind a little bit after like I started talking about it the other day, and I wanted to go into deeper detail and like share my story and the obstacles that I've had, and having to grapple with thinking that people are going to judge me, and you know, how things just end up falling into place when you show up for yourself, you know? So I don't know, it's 2020, look at that. It's I don't know if you guys can see that. Angel numbers. As soon as I finish the video, are you kidding me? 2020. So I hope that this gave you guys something to think about. I'm gonna eat dinner. I really have been enjoying these sort of sit down videos. And I think that I'm gonna make more in the future because I feel like what I've sort of realized is being able to be generous and sharing your journey and, you know, helping people if you can it's always worth it. Like, it's always worth it to put yourself out there. And yeah, and I love talking to you guys, connecting. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. And if you made it to the end, as always, my Palace family, leave me a comment that says, leave a commie that says, My dream, me, leave a comment that says, me and my dreams are cool. Me and my dreams are cool. I really like speaking into existence things that I want to be true about myself. I told you guys before that I write out like things that I want to be true about myself, like I'm fun and cool. And you know what? You and your dreams are cool and anything's possible. So me and my dreams are cool. Don't forget to subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. You guys can, you know, if you guys like podcast episodes, look, I feel like I look like I'm in like a jungle or something with all of my, like, you know, my half prospering plants. You guys can check out my Patreon if you want to support what I'm doing, or if you guys want like extra podcast episodes, Zoom parties, etc. I also recently published a book. I thought it was on my mantle, so I was looking for it to show you guys. Where the fuck are you? I need you! I also recently published a book of poems and prose, so if you guys are interested in that, you can find that link down below. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I love you, and anything's possible if you just believe. Bye!
So